Presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are South.
It's another beautiful baseball day in St. Louis, and hopefully the Braves can turn that big horseshoe the other side up, because they've had nothing but bad luck so far against the Cardinals. They've won all 5 games head-to-head. Today, the Braves and Redbirds wrap up the season series here at Busch Stadium. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to the ballpark. A furious ninth-inning rally came up a 1-run short for Atlanta last night, but hopefully Atlanta can salvage 1 out of 3 against the Cardinals. Partner, 47 games left in the regular season schedule. Let's take a look at the Braves' progress report comparing this season to last.
Let's do that, and let's put an end to this losing streak and a losing streak to the Cardinals today. Through 114 games last year, the Braves have 8 more wins. They're scoring more runs, and they certainly are hitting a ton more home runs. But if you want to see a difference, it's a half-run higher in ERA across the board for the pitching. And as Chipper Jones said last night, the Braves have got to get some good starting pitching if they want to win some ball games, and that starts today with R.A. Dickey,
who might be one of the Braves' most consistent starters, along with Mike Foltynewicz, who did have a hiccup here in St. Louis, but boy, R.A.'s been really good last 9-10 times out.
He has been outstanding, and part of it is because he has really cut back on his walks. He even said earlier in the year, he said, I've never walked this many guys before. And as it turns out, he was right. He has really cut down on the walks. He's made the guys earn their way on the ball, on the field, to get on the bases rather. And while he's given up a few home runs, it's not after a walk, and that's helped him a lot. A 2.22 ERA over his last 9 starts. If he just get a little more run support, he'll be in the win column today.
He's pitching with a couple of extra days of rest. Michael Wacha's right on turn for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he too is on a nice roll.
Well, this guy's got a big arm. He throws hard. He's got a cutter off of his fastball. You're seeing some really good breaking balls here, and he's got a changeup. When he's throwing his cutter and his breaking ball and his changeup for strikes, they can't sit on his fastball, and it's good enough to win. He's got a lot of good pitches. His last 9 starts, he's been on fire as well. Does not give up a lot of home runs. He's in single digits in that category for the year, and he does get a lot of run support, especially lately when the Cardinals have been pouring runs across home plate.
Well, the Cardinals have caught the Cubs in the National League Central. They're tied for first. The Braves will try to make things a little tougher on them this afternoon, on a perfect afternoon for baseball in the Gateway City. Game 3 lineups and first pitch coming up from Busch Memorial Stadium. We'll get to that right after this.
Hi, my name is George, and I am 9 years old, and my question is for R.A. Dickey. And my question is, how do you prepare for a game? What do you drink? How long do you sleep? And what do you eat?
Oh, wow. So to prepare for a start, there's a lot of different things I do. You know, I'm not real superstitious. You know, I don't really believe in superstition, but I like to eat at a certain time just because I feel like it gives my body the chance to get the energy it needs at the right time. And I always take a shower before I put my uniform on, and I think that's the moment where the switch kind of flips for me, and I stop being, you know, dad, goofy, and I start being, you know, a competitor that wants to beat you real badly. So, you know, there are a couple things I do, but I don't take it too seriously. There's just a couple things that help me get ready.
Welcome back to St. Louis for the finale of this 3-game set at Busch and a final chance for the Braves to post a victory this season against the red-hot Cardinals. I'm Andre Aldridge, and the challenge for R.A. Dickey, on paper at least, is pretty big. But in essence, his approach will be no different than it would be to answering questions to elementary school kids. In essence, don't make this moment bigger than it is.
My perspective never changes. It's always, I'm in the big leagues, playing a big league baseball club, and if I don't bring my game, I'm going to get beat. And it doesn't matter if it's the Dodgers, it doesn't matter if it's the Phillies. If you're up here in the big leagues, you have the capability of having success at this level. So the minute you start putting too much pressure on yourself because it's such and such team, or taking for granted a team that's not performing very well, you're going to get your booty kicked. And so for me, I learned a long time ago that I don't worry about the other team. I worry about my own preparation, my own process, and I'll be ready to go when it's time.
Well, the Cardinals' 8-game win streak is the longest of the Mike Matheny era, but R.A. and friends are only focused on winning one Sunday afternoon contest. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout, but Chip and Joe will be back with the first pitch after the break. Hey, it's Braves baseball from here in St. Louis. Baseball heaven, and hopefully a Bravos win. Stay tuned.
Hyundai Sunday on Fox Sports South is presented by your local Hyundai dealers.
Perfect afternoon for a Sunday game in St. Louis. We wrap up our 3-game series on a perfect afternoon. I still can't believe the weather. Low 80s, low humidity. This is delightful for mid-August in this great river city. And as cool as the weather has been, this Cardinal team has been red hot. St. Louis has won 8 consecutive games. They've tied the Cubs for first in the Central. And now they send red hot Michael Wacha to the mound as the Cardinals try to complete a series and season sweep against the Braves today.
This guy is 6'5", 215 out of Pleasant Grove, Texas. He was a #1 pick of the Cardinals back in 2012 out of Texas A&M. If you wanted to add a little more onto his great numbers, well, how about his day game record? 4-0 with a 2.10 ERA. He's never lost in his career in the month of August. Now, granted, he's had some injuries and missed some time in August through his time in the big leagues. This is his 4th year, but he's 6-0 in the month of August. So he's got everything going his way today. Time for the Braves to upset that apple cart.
The old reverse lock game.
There you go.
Hope it works out for Ender Inciarte and company as the Braves offense will try to kick it into high gear on Sunday afternoon. Ender leads off the Toyota starting 9. Tyler Flowers will catch R.A. Dickey, who seeks win number 8 for Atlanta today. Ender Inciarte's hit safely in 15 of 16 games. He's 3 for 7 so far in this series. And he's going to get things started here in the top of the first. And Wacha with that big downhill plane delivers a quick strike. Sharply hit and through. A leadoff single for Ender. His 143rd hit of the season. That's a promising start.
Sure is. Anytime you can get that leadoff guy on to start the ball game, it puts a little hop in everybody's step in the dugout, like, let's go get him.
Ender with a hit in all 3 games of this series. That brings up Brandon Phillips, who hit a long home run in the 5th inning last night. Brandon at 285, 9 homers, 42 knocked in. We'll see how Atlanta operates on the base paths today. No Yadier Molina with the day game after the night game. It's Carson Kelly wearing the harness today. See if Ender tries to swipe a bag. He's got a pretty good lead. Not going. And Phillips pushes a bunt toward third. Bare hand try. Ball dropped by Garcia. So the Braves have 2 runners aboard, back-to-back hits. I believe that was scored a single for Phillips.
Should have been, yes.
And 2 on for Freddie Freeman, nobody out.
Great idea. And I thought he bunted it too hard to have any chance of getting a base hit, but as it turned out, that was instrumental in Garcia not being able to pick it up because it was rolling so fast. Great start on a day where the Braves really need a win.
Freddie Freeman fresh off a 3-hit night last night. Big 9th inning hit against Trevor Rosenthal brought the Braves to within a run. And he takes a called strike. Freddie's faced Wacha 4 times. He's got a couple of hits, including a double.
Wacha pitched against the Braves back on May 7th. Got a no decision in a 14-inning game against Atlanta. He went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, walked 2, struck out 6. There's that line score. 83 pitches. He's 0-1 lifetime against Atlanta, but a 3.07 ERA. 4 games.
He's ahead of Freddie Freeman. A ball and 2 strikes. And a ground ball hit towards short. Might be 2. There's 1. There's 2. Boy, that has killed the Braves in this series. Atlanta's now hitting 5 double plays against the Cardinals. 3 of them in the first 3 innings of game 1 of the series. And one in the 4th inning last night.
Yeah, and one of them was with the bases loaded and Freddie up there when he hit into that one. Pitcher's best friend, as they say.
Inciarte to third on the double play ball. That brings up Nick Markakis. Nick's looking for his first hit in the series. Wacha continues to stretch and fires low.
Really backed off on that. 77 miles an hour. His fastball ranges up to 96. Throws a cutter. Probably learned that from Adam Wainwright.
And in for a strike. He's been giving the Cardinals some scares, though, the last couple of years. He's had a stress reaction in the scapular region of his right shoulder. And the Cardinals, whenever he's had that problem, of course, shut him down because of the potential long-term effects of that problem. And the comp for that injury is Brandon McCarthy, who's had 3 or 4 seasons wiped out because that stress reaction developed into something even worse than that. This kid, one that they handle with kid gloves, but he's pitching great right now. As he gets a ground ball to second, he pitches out of a 2-on, nobody out jam with a double play and a ground out to second. Cardinals pitching is rolling. Let's see if R.A. Dickey, with some extra rest, can put up some zeros of his own. The top of the first inning. Now R.A. Dickey goes to work. As we've said a couple of times, 2 extra days of rest for the Braves right-hander. Something he was asking for. He got it. Let's see how he fares in the wrap-up today.
Well, he's 7-7, a 4.03 ERA, and you're 42 years old. A couple extra days rest certainly won't hurt. His first 13 starts, he walked a ton of guys. Last 9 starts, he's cut back on those, and he's gone 3-2 with a 2.22 ERA. And in 3 of those 9 starts, he only got 1 run of support. So today, hopefully, he'll get some more. His 4 keys today: has to start with the top 3 guys in the order who are consistent through this series, and that's Carpenter, Pham, and DeJong. They have been on base 14 times between the 3 of them in the first 2 games. And that need a stop, that's not really a key. That's a request. Braves need him to be a stopper today.
Braves have lost 7 straight games on the road. Cardinals have won 8 games overall. And R.A.'s first of the day is in for a strike to Matt Carpenter. He's riding a 7-game hitting streak. .253 batting average, 15 homers.
And he scored 3 Cardinal runs. And right there, a strike. It's 0-2.
Good home plate umpire today for him, a veteran in Ted Barrett, so I'm sure Ted's been back there for his knuckleball before.
Hit towards second, and Ozzy's got it. His throw to first in time. Carpenter's retired, 1 away. Since July 25th, the St. Louis Cardinals lead the National League in average, runs, and ERA. Not surprisingly, they're tied for first. And it is a different looking lineup this afternoon. Grichuk is hitting 5th. Martinez, the cleanup man. No Molina, no Fowler. Day game after the night game.
Here's another little pearl I found in their notes today. Since this winning streak started for them, the major league average for players on base total during that 8-game stretch is 88. Each team has averaged 88 base runners. The Cardinals 138.
What?
Yeah.
50 more base runners over 8 games.
50 more base runners than the average major league number of base runners.
That's easy to explain why they're scoring 8 runs a game.
Yeah. Well, and it starts with these top 3 guys. They're on base all the time.
Tommy Pham has had a great season series against the Braves. 8 hits, 3 homers, 6 RBIs. And with Fowler getting the night off, or day off I should say, it's Pham in center for St. Louis.
Yeah, he did. Oh.
Angel Hernandez.
Oh, well, never mind. I'll quit saying that today for right-handed hitter.
Full count. And Pham takes ball 4.
R.A. hooked up with Waka in Atlanta on May 7th. He got a no decision. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 runs, and most of that damage was on 2 home runs, and one was by Tommy Pham, who hit 2 that day, including the game-winning 2-run homer in the 14th inning.
Well, we've only seen Paul DeJong for 2 games. As a Cardinal opponent, I've seen enough. This guy is shredding everything. And just back safely was Pham. He nearly got picked off. DeJong has knocked in a run in 14 of the last 21 Cardinal games. He's 4 for 8 in this series with a homer. And the Cardinals are 25 and 14 when he starts. He was called up June 15th. Aledmys Diaz sent back to the minors. No balls and a strike. And off the plate, even count. And Diaz, you might recall, also clobbered the Braves back at SunTrust Park.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine what we've seen of Diaz and Piscotty over the last 2 years. For them to be back in AAA, things had to really be going south on them.
Swing and a miss, a ball and 2 strikes.
You'll notice that Tyler Flowers is catching R.A. on one knee. Had another long talk, not only with Kurt, but with Tyler about this situation. We've discussed it at great length on the air. Tyler says it's at the request of R.A. to try to get the low strike called. And that's almost again. Freddie thought maybe they got him. And that's at the risk of them not being able to catch a throw wide of home plate. It looked like he got him.
Is there enough evidence for the Braves to challenge the call?
Yep.
And Atlanta is going to take a peek.
To finish that while they're putting on the headsets, Tyler said the point of let's watch the replay again. Tag, foot not on the bag yet. I think they got him. Tyler says RA's comment is that if the ball is moving down and to the right of the catcher, they're probably not going to catch it anyway. So don't worry about it. If it's high, don't jump for it. It'll go to the backstop. Go get it. And I understand him trying and wanting that low strike called, but at the risk of allowing runners to get into scoring position, and especially with a runner at third, it's not one I necessarily agree with.
Right. That puts an awful lot of pressure, even more pressure on the catcher if you're throwing a knuckleball in the dirt. Forces your defense to be on its toes on a ground ball that might knuckle to them. But again, Tyler and Kurt, as you said, are doing what the pitcher wants.
Yep.
And it's his ball game. It's his ERA.
Well, my point of objecting to it or disagreeing with it, he's out. Yeah.
So excellent challenge by the Braves. The call is overturned. Pham is picked off first.
Really quick snap move. Great pickoff. My objection to it has to do with how it affects the team, with runners getting into scoring position in a close game, or especially with a runner at third.
So 2 outs, a 2-strike pitch for DeYoung, and that's out of play. And we shall do it again. How about that motion to the plate? That was different.
Yeah, he employs that once in a while, especially to somebody maybe that doesn't know him, like DeYoung.
So Dickey now with a full count.
Both of these pitchers today work quickly. Sixth fastest in the National League, 21.5 seconds.
A little pop into right, and that'll drop in front of Markakis. So the pickoff play looming larger. DeYoung with another hit.
Unless there's somebody on base, next time he comes up, just save time and put him on first. Just send him on over there. Boy, has he had a series, and has he been impressive. Look at this pitch. Goodness. Still covered it.
It's the old saying, not every hit comes on a mistake. So that's the first Cardinal hit. Here's Jose Martinez. Martinez getting a spot start. He's hit 9 homers and batting .287 for the year. Mike Matheny's taking a page out of the Jim Leyland playbook. Martinez has been a very prolific pinch hitter for them, and what Jim Leyland used to do a lot with the Pirates and later the Marlins, he'd give guys like John Wayner a start on a Sunday, rest his regulars, and let him get 4, maybe 5 at bats in a game, so that when he needed him in a close game late, he'd be as razor sharp as possible as a pinch hitter.
Danny Santana getting one of those starts today for the Braves.
1 ball, 1 strike. That split the dish. Now it's 1-2. Strike 3 right down Market Street. And Martinez is retired. So are the Cardinals. A walk, a single, a pickoff. And after one in St. Louis, Braves and Redbirds. No score.
Baseball is brought to you by your local Ford dealer and the Georgia Lottery.
Here we go, second inning. Flowers, Santana, and Ozzie Albies are coming up here in St. Louis. Michael Wacha had 2 base hits to start his day, but a double play and a ground out got him out of the first inning. And as you mentioned, Joe, he too likes to work fast.
Absolutely. He's the second fastest in the National League at 20.5 seconds. So if both these guys are on their game today, we'll be done in about 37 minutes. Got to get all those promos in, though.
I'll read them fast if that helps.
Just want to stack them up right in front of you and get started now.
That's what Dad used to do on the radio side. Boy, it used to drive Jake Cook, the radio engineer, nuts. As Tyler Flowers bounces one foul, he'd get the whole promo list. Well, the Delta Out of Town scoreboard: Miami nothing, Washington nothing. And then he'd go through the 19 other, and then there'd be the magical sound in the microphone that sounded thusly. As he crumpled up the promo and said, "Well, now back to baseball."
Yeah. Every night.
Oh. It was kind of fun to see poor Jake in the back of the booth just twitching by the third inning.
Well, there were a long list of those guys that were twitching.
Line drive. That's curling away from Pham. That ball might have knuckled a bit. Tyler hit it hard, but he's retired for out number 1.
Rick Shaw, Laser Baker.
It's a long, distinguished list. As there's out number 1. Here's Danny Santana. I'm guessing, Joe, we're going to see a lot of Danny in Colorado with the inexperience of Matt Adams in the outfield. You'd love to have his bat in the lineup, but covering that big, gigantic acreage out there is a challenge for even the most experienced Major League outfielders.
Well, I'll go back to the Oakland series where Danny played so well in left field, had a great series. And naturally, with the DH, you were able to use both guys.
0-1 pitch. We saw Matt Kemp running the bases, doing some extra work, coming back from his hamstring problem. We are told that Matt is going to be activated on Friday when the Braves get home and face the Reds. No rehab assignments for Matt Kemp, but he's not going to play in Coors Field, probably for the same reason that Santana's going to see a lot of action, we think.
Outfielders do a lot of running there. Speaking of outfielders, boy, what a grisly scene last night in Washington, huh?
Wasn't that awful?
I hope those preliminary reports on Bryce Harper are accurate, that he just has a bruised, bone bruise.
That's rolled to first. Carpenter's got that. Didn't drop it this time and makes the play 2 out.
It looked like he broke his leg.
Yeah.
It looked so bad.
I don't know what designates a bone bruise, but you were talking on the bus. This is probably the best case scenario for Bryce Harper, but a bone bruise is not an insignificant injury.
Ankle slipped off the bag, and then that knee locked at full speed.
Pulled foul by Albies. Strike one. It was a rainy night in Washington. They had a long rain delay to start the game. It was raining at the time of that incident. And there's been a lot of published talk today about whether or not baseball should start thinking about changing the composition of the bases, because you saw Harper's foot slip off of the top of that vulcanized rubber base. It's not a bag the way it used to be. Remember the old days, they had burlap sacks that had belts on them.
And that also had stakes in the ground that were dangerous.
So the Nationals have said that they hope Harper, or they believe Harper, will be back in action sometime before the end of the year. A shovel to first just did get Albies. 3 up, 3 down for Waka. He is getting a lot of ground ball outs, which is always a good sign for a pitcher. No score in the second. The games on TV. You can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app and take Fox Sports South and Braves baseball with you wherever you go. It's presented by Honda Generators.
Well, there's some navy in red. There's not a whole lot of it, but there are some Braves fans here today amidst the sea of red. Nice that they clumped them all together right there. Strength in numbers.
Here's Randall Grichuk. He's had an excellent series. 4 hits, a homer, 3 RBIs. And that caught a corner. Strike one. Grichuk's average is climbing because he's got a hit in 15 of his last 19 games. And he's not just poking singles. He's got 12 extra base hits in that stretch.
I was reading a story about him today that when they sent him back to Memphis for a month, his last 10 games in Memphis, he had 6 home runs. It's like he found it. And they wrote that he's still striking out, not as drastic a clip, but he's also walking a little bit more, and they're attributing his recent success here to swinging at more good pitches in the zone.
Second strikeout for Dickey, one away.
That one had a dive to it, didn't it? So that was a case for Grichuk anyway, where going to the minor leagues certainly paid off for him because he was able to play every day and get a better sense of balls and strikes.
Well, reading some of the columnists here in St. Louis, Bernie Miklas, who's a terrific writer and a baseball writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Love his stuff.
That's been one of the frustrating things for him personally and for some of the Cardinal fans too. Colton Wong has been up and down in the minor leagues. Grichuk has been up and down in the minor leagues. Piscotty has been up and down through the minor leagues. Ledmus Diaz has been up and down. There's the 0-1 pitch, which is bounced toward first. Should be easy for Freddie, and it is. 2 away. So the question is, they struggle at the major league level, go back to AAA, figure it out for a while, then come back and struggle again. It's been kind of a vicious cycle. So how does that happen, and why is that happening so often? And as a result, it seems like you look at Mike Matheny's lineup in this series, Joe, he's got a lot of guys batting and playing in unconventional places, but for some reason this mishmash has meshed at the perfect time.
Well, not only that, but I mean, they've got guys that, like for us with the young, we'd never laid eyes on the guy. We hadn't even heard of him until he got called up a few weeks ago, and then we started hearing his name here and there because he was hitting some homers. They've got some other guys contributing, and some of their veterans have really stepped up. So it is an odd combination, but man, oh man, they're living in it right now. They got it working.
Yeah, they do. And the point you make a lot is it's really tough to get here. It's even harder to stay here.
Yes.
You just don't know when the light bulb's going to go on for whatever reason.
This guy was a second-round pick, Kelly.
He bangs out ball toward Brandon Phillips. That's the proverbial Sunday hop. And R.A. Dickey is also getting the ball on the ground. Nothing doing in the St. Louis second.
Is brought to you by Sherwin-Williams.
Time for the third inning. Time for Dansby Swanson, R.A. Dickey, and Ender Inciarte to get something going for the Braves. Atlanta got back-to-back hits to start the game, but a couple of ground ball outs, including a double play, bailed out right-hander Michael Wacha. Dansby Swanson picked up a base hit last night, his first since he came back from Gwinnett. There's a one-out hit in the ninth inning that helped the Braves score their final 2 runs of the game. And a strike called 0-1.
One of the other writers in the St. Louis paper today wrote about how the Cardinals have caught the Cubs. They're dead even. And that on August 5th, they were 4.5 back. But now they've caught him, and he made a good point. Nothing that's happened to this point matters anymore.
Right.
It's now going to be like a 47-game season, whatever the number of games are that are left, and I think the Cubs have a few more home games than the Cardinals do. But I was saying that to say this. Dansby Swanson, aside from a really good streak in June, has not had a good season. None of that matters now. What does matter is from this point forward. He got a base hit his last time up last night, hit the ball sharply. He's hit the ball sharply in this series without any good luck attached to it. So what I'm hoping for him is that from this point forward he has a good finish.
You're speaking about that as a veteran player, a guy that's been through a lot of major league action, broadcaster, player, all that. Dansby doesn't have that body of experience to fall back on. I know he has teammates, coaches who say, hey, hang with him and keep working hard. As a line drive to right will take care of him. How tough is it knowing that what you said is true? He hasn't had a good year at the plate. And you have 47 games left. You've been sent down to AAA. You're back again. How hard is it to not look up and see 208 and 8 for 72 now since you snapped a 9-game hitting streak?
Yeah, he knows. He doesn't have to be reminded of that. He knows exactly what those numbers are. And it is a very painful thing to have to go through this at this level because there's so many eyes on you. He's handled it really well. He's handled it professionally as far as we know. He's never changed. I think that's the part that's hardest on all of us that are pulling for him, is that we don't want to see him go through something like this. We don't want to see anybody go through this that's wearing a Braves uniform.
Little ground ball. Look at the heads-up play by Walker to get to the first base bag. He saw Carpenter go for that ball too, and he was led and fed perfectly by Colton Wong for the second out.
And that's why, even from a fan perspective, hopefully Dansby's play at the plate, his hitting at the going forward, is all that the fans will concentrate on, and put the rest of it, put it all behind us.
And Dansby's had something along the lines of 400 games since high school. And when you think of it that way, that he's even playing in the major leagues with that little experience, is pretty impressive.
A lot was put on him at the beginning of the season after he had such a good turn there at the end of the year when he got called up. He played so well, hit a ton. And like all of us, we just think, okay, well, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, he's got it figured out.
Yeah, he's going to hit 320 the rest of his life. Doesn't always work that way, and there was a lot put on his shoulders to start this season.
And I think his comments when he came back reflected that. He said it was just nice to get away and get back to playing baseball again. But I'm with you. He's handled it first class. As Ender fouls that one off and stays alive, a ball and 2 strikes. Ender picked up his 144th hit in the opening inning. 115 of his hits are singles. That's more than any other major league player. Very Ichiro-like run at the plate for Inciarte. Got a hanger and whacked that out towards second base. He tomahawked it. He's out number 3. And Waka's on a roll. He's set down 8 straight. He's coming up second in a scoreless third. Your #1 mobile app for live Braves baseball. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get Braves home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today. Garcia, Waka, and Carpenter are coming up against R.A. Dickey, who's looked sharp. He's allowed just one St. Louis hit. And that missed inside, ball 1.
And that hit was on a very good knuckleball.
As was that one. Even count. Mention the excellent work by Dickey over his last 9 starts. This game falling right in line with what he's done over an extended period for the Braves. 3 wins, 2 losses, a 2.22 ERA. He's got 4 no decisions in games, Joe, where he's allowed 1 earned run in each of them. So he's gotten very little run support. Otherwise, he might be a double-digit winner already for the Braves. 1-2 count. Stayed high. 2-2.
Well, depending on who you believe and if people are just making stuff up or if they're writing from knowledge, there was some speculation that with the injuries to the rotation for the Yankees, even after the acquisition of Garcia and Gray, that they needed another starter and that one of the nominees might be R.A. Dickey.
Payoff pitch. Right back where it came from, and R.A.'s mad that he didn't spear that. He was in excellent fielding position, but Garcia with a missile up the middle leads off the 3rd for the Cardinals. This ball was really socked, but look how competitive R.A. Dickey is.
Yeah, he was angry that he didn't have his glove in the right spot. That was a hot shot.
See if Waka bunts. He's 2 for 34 on the year with 4 sacrifices. He lays down a beauty. Only one play. Garcia to second on the sacrifice. And something we've seen this entire series, Joe, is the bottom of the Cardinals order is feeding the top of their order.
Well, these guys are so fundamentally sound. I mean, we talked about their pitchers being able to hit and drive in runs. Waka may be an exception to that. He's 2 for 34, as you said, with a couple of RBIs. But when they need something done, they get it done. They get the bunt down. The first game, even Grichuk took a little off his swing and hit the ball to right field and got a run in from third base. Or excuse me, from second base, just trying to give him over to third.
So Carpenter, the St. Louis leadoff man who grounded out to second in the first inning, has the first RBI chance for the Cardinals today. He's got a big hole to play with on the left side as Dansby Swanson's hiding behind Greg Garcia, who takes his lead at second base. Ripped down the right field line and headed for the seats. So once again, Joe, your 4 keys are in play right here. These are the top 3 Cardinal hitters.
Yeah, and it's not all hits. There's walks. Pham's been hit by a pitch, so you can add that in on his. DeYoung, even he's walked once, and he never walks.
Right. He's got 10.
Yeah.
With almost 80 strikeouts. Dickey's way ahead, 2 strikes. And taken low. So here's another spot where you watch Tyler Flowers. Runner in scoring position, 2 strikes. He wants to get as low as he can. And if ball gets by him, RA's willing to live with that for the trade-off of that low strike.
That's correct.
And Carpenter spoiled it. Good at bat by Carpenter. Braves head to Colorado after the game. Cardinals head to Boston for a couple of matchups with the Red Sox, then a big 4-game series with the Pirates. And now another 1-2 count for Matt Carpenter. And he golfs that ball into left, but Santana's going to get there. Carpenter just flicked his wrists, tried to put it in play and did, but he got under it and flies out. 2 down.
Take a look at that Cardinal dugout. Every guy, it appears, is up on the railing. A couple of them have stepped down after that flyout. But they recently had a team meeting called by Wainwright and Molina at a restaurant in Cincinnati called the Precinct, where they went through a lot of stuff, gave everybody a chance to speak, but Wainwright and Molina primarily talked about what this team needed to do, where they wanted to go, and how they were going to do it. And you see them making this motion to each other when they do something good, where they lock their hands together. And that's everybody playing together and pulling together. And when you've got 2 guys like those 2 guys right there on your team who don't let any nonsense pass. I heard another story today about one of their newer players.
Phillips at third.
Who liked to sit in his locker and play video games. Molina went over, took it away from him, said, "We don't do that here." It wasn't the coach, wasn't the manager, it was Molina who said,
Fourth in this scoreless contest, and to kind of follow up on the story that Joe was giving us before the break, guys, the following day, following that players meeting in Cincinnati, they lost the ball game 3-2 the next day, left 20 players left 20 runners on base during that game. So during the post-game interviews, Tommy Pham was asked about their offense, which have been struggling. He said, our offense is not dynamic. We don't have speed. He went through a litany of things that their offense doesn't do as we watch this first pitch to Brandon Phillips. And following that is when the offensive explosion happened. During the 8-game win streak, there was a 6-game stretch when they scored at least 8 runs in every game. That's never happened in Cardinals franchise history. Pham simply said the other day, maybe I should have gave my blunt assessment a little bit earlier.
Well, they are rolling at the right time as Phillips drives one down the right field line. The Cardinals and Cubs rivalry is as good as any in Major League Baseball. It always has been, probably always will be. St. Louis taking advantage of a Cubs team that's really struggling with Wilson Contreras out. An indispensable player for Chicago hurt his hamstring and he's gone for 4 to 6 weeks. But this season will, as it usually does, come down to the final couple of weeks. The Cardinals and Cubs are going to match up in 7 of the last 16 games. And the final week for St. Louis, they play at home. A 4-game series with the Cubs, the final 3 regular season games against Milwaukee. So perhaps a big advantage for Mike Matheny's club. Ground ball to short. Nice pick. Nice throw. But if St. Louis, Joe, wants to win the division, you got to play better against the division. They're way under 500 against the Central inexplicably.
It's the worst record they have against any division. Hard to figure out. But again, it doesn't matter now. What only matters is the games they have left. And look, we're talking a lot about the Cardinals and talking about the leadership they have in those 2 guys in particular. And one of the reasons we're doing that is because there are aspects about this St. Louis team you'd like to see in Braves uniforms. That type of leadership from players.
Smoke towards center, and that's down for a hit. It almost spun past Tommy Pham.
And one of the guys on the Braves team is a guy that just hit. And why yesterday, if you weren't with us, he had a little bloop hit to left field and he hustled it into a double. And I was making a point. I hope the guys in the dugout were watching that, because Freddie's not a cheerleader. He's not a pom-pom guy, but he does lead by example. And the Braves need a lot of that with all these young players that are coming along.
First Atlanta hit since the first inning has Freeman aboard. Nick Markakis with 1 out. 0 for 9 in the series. And a strike.
That's not to say that Molina and Wainwright are guys carrying around pom-poms either, but they have a high level of expectation from all their teammates because they've been here and won a couple of world championships together. They know what it takes, and that legacy has come with them to pass on to other Cardinals, whether they're homegrown or not.
This is Wainwright's 13th year with the Cardinals. Never pitched a game in the major leagues for the Braves from whence he came. And Yadier Molina this is his 14th year. So when you have homegrown players who've worn your uniform their entire life, you do have the ability to set a clubhouse tone and clubhouse culture, and even more importantly, success.
But only if you've won.
Right.
You don't want that culture if it's a bad culture.
Popped out of play. Long run Garcia. He can't get there.
Yeah, nobody can come along and question it and say, oh yeah, well, what have you done?
Right. When you look at this Cardinal lineup, I think every single one of their guys is from their system in today's game.
No kidding. That's a rarity.
We'll have to triple check that as Markakis awaits a 1-2 pitch. And that's the other area where the Braves are slowly and steadily making great progress. You look at the team now. Ender Inciarte wasn't drafted and developed as a Brave, nor was Phillips. Markakis, Flowers was, but was traded away. Danny Santana, and R.A. Dickey. Dansby Swanson is drafted by Arizona. The point of that is when you want to have a Braves way, Orioles way, Dodgers way, Cardinals way, it certainly helps when you have your own players matriculate through your system so that when they get to the big leagues, there's an expectation of how to play the game on the field, and to your point, how to act off the field and in the locker room.
I think John Sherholtz made a real strong point of that, not only in his Hall of Fame speech, but in subsequent chats.
To center, a base hit from Markakis. He got a 2-strike pitch to hit, and he didn't miss it.
About the importance of development. Drafting, signing, developing your own players, and instilling that into your players so that there are no questions when they get to the big league level about how they're supposed to play and act. And that there is no substitute for that.
So the Braves have a threat. And Tyler Flowers, the batter, he hit it hard but lined out to center his first time up. Didn't get it, even count. Two balls and a strike. Great chance for the Braves here to score the game's first run. Good hitter's count. 3 balls and a strike. And that's taken low. Ball 4, and Atlanta's got him loaded up for Danny Santana.
Boy, was that a good take. Tough pitch to lay off. What we were hoping last night at the end of the game was that after the Braves made a mad rush at him in the 9th inning, was that hopefully they would be able to come out early today and take some of the pressure off, get some runs along the way off Walker. Well, it hasn't happened through the first 3, but it sure takes some here with them loaded.
Yeah, looking through the Cardinals media guide, today's lineup, just 2 of their 9 starters came from other organizations. Richard they acquired from the Angels, and Jose Martinez came from Kansas City. Everybody else has a homegrown Cardinal, including a 34th round pick, a 16th round pick, and a 13th round pick. Pretty impressive. So here's Danny Santana. Bases loaded for Atlanta. Quick visit from Derek Lilliquist, and now Waka back to work. Good cut and fouled back. Danny wishes he had that one back.
Ooh, fooling. Just missed it. Waka's last start came during this streak at Kansas City. He won that game 10-3. Ton of runs.
Well, he's having a pitch today. And after retiring 9 in a row, back-to-back hits and then a walk, has him in the soup in the Atlanta 4th. 0-2.
It's very rare that you run across a day where the Braves offense doesn't do something to instill a little concern into the opposition. Unfortunately, all too many times they're already in the hole, so the pitcher's got room to work. Not the case right here.
Ground ball, that's going to sneak through for a hit. Freeman scores. Here comes Markakis to third. He's going to stop. And Danny Santana with an RBI hit to right gives R.A. Dickey and the Braves a 1-0 lead.
What a nice pickup Danny Santana was from the Twins early this year. Switch hitter, can play anywhere on the diamond. And he's been clutch, and he is again here to put the Braves on top.
So a rare lead for the Braves in the series. Albies will try to add to it. He's 0 for 1. And that's bounced toward the Cardinal dugout foul. The other part of the frustrating thing about the offense is when they get their offense going, it's usually in the last 3 innings. So nice to see some middle inning action for the Braves. They're still loaded for Albies. Long look in by Waka. Fly ball center. Pham is there. There's the catch. Markakis is tagging. Here comes the throw. It is a bit late. Albies with a sacrifice fly to center scores Markakis, and the Braves now lead by 2.
Boy, was that a good throw. Pham did a nice job of coming to that fly ball and having some momentum built up to make the throw, and it was very accurate. And just late, like you said. Nice slide by Nick. Tell you what, the Braves have been putting on some pretty snazzy sliding in this series. Freddie Freeman had a couple of them last night.
So 2 on, 2 in for Dansby Swanson, who cracks one out of play to the right. Strike 1.
Good job by Albies. Kid fell behind in the count and was able to get the run in with a fly ball.
That's his 7th run batted in.
First one that wasn't by Homer.
A line drive by Dansby to right field. Ron Washington's going to throw up a stop sign as Grichuk got to that one quickly. So Dansby's got a couple of hits now in his last 3 at bats, both of them to right field, an encouraging sign. And the Braves at the very least will clear the pitcher R.A. Dickey with 2 outs.
And his out earlier in this game was a line drive to right. And you might be saying, well, why not go ahead and send Tyler Flowers here and take a chance, maybe get another run? You've already got 2 in. Well, you could, but why not let R.A. Dickey hit and get him out of the way? You might get a run in, but at the very least, you lead off with Inciarte the next inning.
And R.A. more often than not is going to put the ball in play. You never know what can happen. He's got 5 runs batted in.
And Grichuk has a good arm, and he'd have thrown out Tyler by 15 feet.
Walker was cruising along until Freddie Freeman's base hit. Nothing at 2. Back to the mound, and that's going to end the inning. The Braves get a couple of runs on 4 hits. A base on balls and a sac fly helped as well. R.A. Dickey's been staked to a 2-run lead after 3.5 innings.
Is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Let's go places. And SunTrust.
America's Highway, Route 66, and the beautiful chain of Roxbridge with an excellent view of downtown St. Louis. We could take Route 66 out toward Colorado after the game, but that would take a little too much time because we have a game tomorrow night against the Rockies at Coors Field. And R.A. Dickey might be throwing a few 66-mile-an-hour knuckleballs at the Cardinals in this inning. He's been staked to a 2-run lead, and he's got the 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up. He's given up just 2 hits. DeYoung had the first of them in the Cardinals' first inning. And out of play. Strike 1. So a good start for Dickey and the Braves trying to win their first game of the season against St. Louis. The Cardinals have never, ever swept the season series against the Braves. They've come close a couple of times. They won 5 of 6 back in 2011 and won 11 of 12 games in 1977. It was back in the good old days when you didn't play 19 games against your division.
Okay, let's go back to Bryce Harper's injury.
Yep.
I had a follow-up to that. You were talking about maybe they'll have to address something about the bases.
That's pulled to left. DeYoung does it again. A leadoff hit.
Just put him on.
I liked your idea.
Save some pitches. No, in a balanced schedule, you don't have to worry as much and cram games in when a team only comes to your place one time, as is the case for everyone else outside your division. So you got to get those games in. It's their only trip into your city, which resulted in maybe playing in conditions last night they didn't want to, knowing they had a doubleheader today. Balanced schedule kind of helps with that.
Jose Martinez, the batter. He struck out looking in the first.
RA's got an interesting record against the Cardinals. He's 3-1, but since he went to the knuckleball exclusively, he hasn't lost to him. 3-0 with a 2.48 ERA.
Well, you have to put a little asterisk on that, because when RA faced him for the first time without the knuckleball, Red Schoendienst was playing second base. Lou Brock was in left. Mike Shannon was in right. Tim McCarver might have been catching.
I want to tell him he said that.
With great love and respect. It's 1-2. Short lead at first for DeYoung. And a double play ball hit to Dansby. Ozzie will turn it. And the Braves get a ground ball, 2 for the price of 1 play. And erases the bags in front of Randall Grichuk. RA is well rested. And the infielders are well prepared for what's been a basket full of ground ball outs so far early. Let's see how they go after Grichuk, who struck out to start the St. Louis second. A little pop into shallow center. That's going to get down. So the double play looming large. And here's Colton Wong.
No, that one didn't do anything. It just sailed in there.
Back to the screen.
They are taking some vicious cuts.
I would think with RA, though, that's exactly what he wants. And number 2 for the Cardinals, they don't want to get to 2 strikes. So
no.
Get after that first one and take your chances. That's hit toward left and right at Santana, who makes the play. And R.A. Dickey has rolled like the mighty Mississippi through the Cardinal lineup through 4 innings. 18th and Saturday, August 19th. A full schedule of great events takes place both at SunTrust Park and the Center for Civil and Human Rights. Go to Braves.com/heritage for more. It's a great montage of Cardinal greats with their retired numbers along the left field fence here at Busch Stadium 3 in St. Louis. Waka trailing 2-0, has the top of the Atlanta order coming up, and a shot past Carpenter into right field for Ender Inciarte. Has another multi-hit game and an excellent start as the Braves try to add on.
Whoa, was that a short, quick swing?
.42 multi-hit games for the Braves Gold Glove center fielder.
This ball in, and he just took the barrel right to the ball. See if Brandon tries to drop a bunt down again. If you just joined us, he did that in the first inning, got a base hit, but a double play kind of took the steam out of the inning.
High fly ball belted deep toward left field. That's headed for the Braves bullpen. It's a home run for Brandon Phillips, and it's 4-0.
And another little salute to the Cleveland crowd, to the St. Louis crowd.
A lot of the fans were like the Cleveland fans saying, "Oh, it's too high.
Yeah,
hit it too high. No chance." But Phillips' second homer of the series.
2 fastballs, 2 solid swings. Brandon with a little uppercut. He's hit 2 in the bullpen in this series, much to the chagrin of these St. Louis fans who have booed him all weekend. I was between innings. I looked up the Cleveland game last night, and it's as if Jay Bruce was playing for them. He was in Tampa and went 2 for 4.
407 feet, the tail of the tape on Phillips' homer. And that's quieted the Cardinal crowd. As a visitor, there's no sweeter sound than silence at Busch Stadium. Down low, ball 2.
I mistakenly said that Waka was in single digits in homers earlier today, pregame show. I think that was actually his 12th that he's allowed, but still a low number in this ballpark especially.
Freddie's our Georgia lottery feature. He's had a good run over the last week and a half. There's a run and a hit today. Kind of funny how things work out when you start to prepare for a big league game. You try to predict or forecast what you think is going to happen. One of Joe's Ford keys was the top 3 for the Cardinals lineup today. 2 hits and a walk for Carpenter, Pham, and DeYoung. But the top 3 hitters for the Braves today have been even more devastating. 5 hits, 3 runs, and with the Phillips RBI and home run, 2 runs batted in today. So Waka hasn't been able to solve the top 3. Dickey has for the most part, and he has been the stopper through 4 innings of work.
First strikeout for Waka.
Yeah, Waka came in allowing just 9 earned runs in his previous 31 innings. He's given up 4 runs so far to the Braves today.
This is the 11th season out of the last 12 that Brandon Phillips has reached double figures in homers. And the only one he did not was 2014 for Cincinnati, where he hit 8, but he only played in 121 games. He was hurt. His career high is 30.
Are you surprised that there hasn't been more chatter for a guy like Brandon Phillips?
Absolutely.
I know the non-waiver deadline has passed, but
Absolutely, especially when he went over to third base and started playing so well over there.
Sharply hit to short. DeYoung, a nice play. And I'm not advocating trading Brandon Phillips, don't misunderstand, but he's played himself into a very valuable spot. And with this move to third, like you said, Joe, maybe he's prolonging his career, either in Atlanta or somewhere else. Been a great addition. Here's Flowers, who walked his first time up. So Tyler 0 for 1. Braves got 2 in the 4th, 2 so far here in the 5th against Michael Wacha. And that one's popped up right side. Carpenter in foul ground. Onto the warning track and makes the play. And that retires the side. Brandon Phillips hits another homer into the Atlanta bullpen. That extends the lead for R.A. Dickey. 4-0. Braves lead game 3 here in St. Louis.
If I wasn't a professional baseball player, I'll be a professional bowler. I can bowl my butt off. I have 4 300 games. My average is a 201.
Well, he would love St. Louis, despite the fans' negative reaction toward Brandon Phillips. This is one of the great bowling cities in America.
Bowling Hall of Fame.
Right.
Right over 2 blocks away.
So far, R.A. Dickey has set him up and knocked him down through 4 innings. He leads 4-0. And he's got the bottom part of the order coming up. Kelly, Garcia, and the pitcher's spot. Sam Tuivailala was up and loosening a moment ago for Mike Matheny, but no action in the Cardinals' pen at the moment. And a fastball throws Carson Kelly. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kelly's got something interesting going here since he got called up July 21st. He's 2 for 18, but has not struck out. Had some good numbers at Memphis. He was hitting .283, 10 homers, drove in 41.
Caught a corner.
Fastball. Heated him up. Got it up there in Wainwright territory.
Was that not the most unbelievable performance we've seen this year?
Yeah, it was incredible.
As Kelly awaits the 2-2 pitch and skies it towards center. It's well hit. Ender on the run, still going to the track, and casually makes the play at the 400 mark. Kelly just missed a leadoff homer.
High one. See him pointing up.
And when we go back and look at Adam Wainwright's game, it's not that he went 5 innings of 1-run ball. The fact is that his fastball was going slower than most of the cars heading on the highway to West County after the game. He was throwing 64, 65 mile-an-hour fastballs. As this one's hit toward first. Easy play for Freeman. Garcia's the second out. And Luke Voit is going to come on and pinch hit. So it's 5 and done for Michael Wacha. 4 runs allowed by the Cardinal right-hander on 8 hits. And the most telling number is for a guy that can throw mid-90s stuff. He only had 1 strikeout. He did not miss many bats. Right there, a strike for Luke Voit. Did mean to. A little roller toward Ozzie. He's going to flip to first in time. And R.A. Dickey has a shutdown inning. He is dealing. He's being the stopper, as Joe hoped he would be. And we head to the 6th. Lead 4-0 in the season series wrap up between these two clubs. R.A. Dickey's pitching beautifully. He's allowed just 4 hits to St. Louis through 5 innings of work. Atlanta has chased the Cardinals starter Michael Wacha. And now it's time for our Sherwin-Williams Painting the Corners feature of the game.
Today's game, R.A. Dickey, 5 innings of 4 hits, shutout ball, only 1 walk. Michael Wacha is out of the game, gave up 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th on the 2-run homer by Brandon Phillips. 1 walk and only 1 strikeout for him. That's very unusual. Braves lead 4-0. And Sam Tuivailala is on to pitch.
Pride of San Mateo, California. Sam's just 24 years old.
Yeah, I'm going to call him Sam a lot. Good fastball, upper 90s, curveball and a slider, both.
Cardinals have done their fair share of converting position players to pitchers. Jason Mott comes to mind, a former catcher who became a relief pitcher and a very good one with St. Louis, now is pitching with the Braves. Well, Tuivailala was converted from shortstop to pitcher in 2012. He made the jump from rookie ball to the big leagues in 3 years. Fly ball to left. And that'll be handled for the first out. Martinez overran that ball but recovered to make the play. Santana's out number 1.
Remember the other night when I was talking about guys drifting on balls? That's what I was talking about. Sometimes you start drifting and maybe the wind gets it, causes it to move, and then you're kind of stuck and have to figure out a way to rally and still catch it.
Here's Ozzie Albies, a sac fly and an RBI in the Braves' 4th. Braves got 2 in that inning, 2 in the 5th. Santana, Albies, and Brandon Phillips have the 4 Braves RBIs today. And up and away. That's launched out of play to the left. That stroke toward the gap in left center. Pham closing speed, can't get there. Trickles behind him, but Martinez backed up the play. And Ozzie Albies has a base hit, and he'll take a 5-game hitting streak with him to Colorado tonight.
That was running away from Pham all the way. As fast as Tommy is, he couldn't catch up to this ball slicing off the bat of Ozzie. And then expected it to be a little deeper than it actually was too. See if Ozzie does some running. He hasn't attempted a stolen base, has he?
I don't believe so.
Big lead.
And he draws a throw. Well, Dansby's also done a nice job hitting the ball the other way. You can put a hit and run on if you want.
You bet.
Popped up. Left side, Garcia battling the sun. He's there, makes the play. Dansby's 1 for 3, pops out. But again, Atlanta will clear R.A. Dickey in the 6th inning. One ball, no strikes. Braves are trying to snap a 7-game road losing streak and the Cardinals' 8-game winning streak in one fell swoop. Cardinals will put the first score on the scoreboard in their head-to-head matchup for the division lead. The Cubs are in Arizona a little bit later on tonight. This afternoon, I should say, with Jake Arrieta and Zach Godley pitching. Cubs have lost 7 of their last 10 games. Arizona beat them last night 6-2. Braves killer David Peralta had an inside the park homer at Chase Field last night. R.A. chokes up, no gloves, and takes a strike, 3-1.
Another team with a winning streak in second place, and the second place team has a winning streak. American League West. Houston's lost 5 in a row. Angels have won 5 in a row.
Carpenter, a nice play, knows the pitcher's running, and Tui Valali got to the bag.
Despite those losing and winning streaks, Angels are still 12 out.
But right now they're the number 2 wild card, believe it or not, in what's a crazy AL wild card race. We'll talk more about that when the Cardinals come up. We're in the 6th inning. Time for an unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. We touched on point number 1. Bryce Harper, a bone bruise. He's been placed on the DL for the Nationals. No timetable for his return, but if Johan Camargo's injury is any indication, it's probably going to be
at least 10 days.
10 days, 2-4 weeks, something like that. Milwaukee with the lowest OPS among second basemen, traded for Neil Walker. He's supposed to be in uniform for the Brewers today as they acquired him from the Mets. And Giancarlo Stanton hit another homer today against Colorado. Yeah, he's up to 42. Goodness. For the Marlins. The side note of that game, Nolan Arenado was hit on the hand by a pitched ball by Vance Worley, had to leave the game. Arenado with 100 RBIs this year. Hopefully he won't be lost for an extended period of time for the Rockies. Love watching that guy play. The Braves head to Rockies land for a 4-game series tomorrow. One ball, one strike as R.A. Dickey starts the St. Louis 6th with Carpenter, Pham, and DeYoung. Again, the top 3 hitters for St. Louis in a 4-run Braves game. Dickey's handled the first 2 guys. DeYoung's 2 for 2. And a ground ball to first. Freddie Freeman's got that. He'll make short work of Carpenter. 1 down.
You were just telling me between innings about some people complaining and wanting bases changed now and all these things. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of people changing the rules of baseball who never played. They don't have a clue what it's like to play. And if it were something the Players Association went to bat against, then I'd say, okay, they're making good sense, or that they know what they're talking about. But when writers get on their soapbox and start talking about all these changes that need to take place, whether it's for safety or not, they never had a uniform on. They never played. They never had any experience at all in this sort of thing, and really, because of that, don't know what they're talking about.
It seems so reactionary and knee-jerk. As another shot on the ground, this one finds a hole for Pham. He's aboard in front of DeYoung. His first hit of the day.
Boy, these national writers, they get it in their head that they're the end all Drives me crazy.
Well, I understand player safety, and that's my point. Buster Posey gets hurt. Nobody wants to see that. So we changed the collision rule. Chase Utley has his slide against the Mets in the playoffs. We changed the slide rule at second base. Injuries happen. It's part of the game. You hate to see it, whether it's a star player or not, and I understand it. But, okay, let's say you go back to the burlap sacks that we're talking about that were employed 75 years ago. Well, what happens when a player gets his spikes caught in the burlap sack and turns an ankle at first base? I mean, it's just
whatever the modern alternative would be. If the Players Association had a problem with it, then I'd understand.
Here's a novel idea. Yesterday's game notwithstanding, maybe if they start the games on time in certain ballparks, you might get 5 innings in, and you don't have to worry about double headers later in a series where a team comes to town one time. Maybe that's a novel idea that should be enforced. And Jim Powell, our pal on the radio side, had a great idea. Unless there's a thunderstorm or tornado watcher warning in the area where the game's supposed to start the game, bad ominous weather forecast or not. And if you're that certain that your forecast is right and you don't want to lose your starting pitcher, you can start the game with a reliever if you have to.
Well, injuries occurred in this game, whether it was catchers getting run over, Greg Olson, second baseman getting knocked on their keister,
Mark Lemke,
1,000 times.
Right.
If you talk to any of the players, 99.9% of them would have said, no, don't change the rule. That's baseball.
And are we having this discussion if it's not a star player?
Nope.
Exactly right. Dickey threw 6. He's brilliant. 4-0. Atlanta shutting out the red-hot Cardinals in St. Louis. Time for the 7th inning in St. Louis. Kind of like the way the Braves have played this ball game. Not kind of, really like the way they played this game. They've scored early. They've added to their lead. They're not relying on a late inning comeback against the Cardinals. And Enter Inciarte, 2 hits. Phillips, 2 hits. Freeman, a base hit. Markakis, a base hit. Top 4 hitters have cleaned up against the Cardinals.
Aggressive early in the count, too, on Walker. He only walked 1. He only struck out 1. They were getting after him quickly.
So 42 multi-hit games for Ender Inciarte, who's added 3 points to his average, and there's some of that aggressiveness you're talking about. He went after the first pitch again, but didn't get it from Sam Tuivalala.
Did you tell me where he's from?
San Mateo, California.
Okay. Somewhere in the recesses, I remember that.
I think that means St. Matthew. Pretty sure. But I want to find out about St. Matthew. See if we can figure that out. In a 4-0 game?
If it does, I'm going to be very impressed.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Look at him try to poke that ball to the left. Nearly hit him. A base hit for Ender, a 3-hit day. That's more Ender Inciarte like. You know, he has the ability to turn on a ball and hit it 400 feet if he wants. He can go gap to gap. I love watching him punch the ball through holes like he's done a couple of times in this series.
And when he's at his best, he's able to do this. When he's behind in the count, just take a little more of an inside-out approach. Early in the count, it's a little different. He's looking for something he can pull.
And I was right.
No,
Mateo
really?
is Spanish for St. Matthew. Yep.
Wow.
All the synapses fired right for once.
I am really impressed.
That is the high-tech enclave of Silicon Valley, where Mr. Tuivalala is from. San Mateo is a much nicer name than the original town name that the Spanish colonists gave that part of California.
Oh, see. I thought you meant Tuivalala meant St. Matthew.
Oh, no, I said his hometown.
San Mateo.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not as impressed anymore.
Oh, come on.
I was going, where in the world would you have gotten that out of Tuivalala?
No.
Okay.
But to continue the part where we can really make fun of all the high-tech people in California, San Mateo, California's original name was Rancho de las Pulgas, which means the ranch of the fleas. One of the high visibility places there was called Coyote Point. Boy, it sounds like a great place to live. A strike. Throw to second is late. Ender swipes a bag. His 15th, I believe, on the year.
That is correct, and he got an excellent jump. Great read on the pitcher. So Kelly, since he got called up, he's only thrown out 1 of 5 now. Chance to manufacture another run here. Big day for Brandon. Bunt single and a 2-run homer.
How about another one? 0-2 pitch. And that's in the dirt. The animosity that the Cardinals fans have toward Brandon Phillips dates back to his days with Cincinnati. They had a very ugly incident at the Great American Ballpark. Brandon was fed up with some of the antics that the Cardinals had. He said that they whined and complained about everything. They were getting beat by the Reds during a bitter pennant race. Cardinals were complaining about slippery baseballs and stuff like that. Gamesmanship that they alleged the Reds were taking part in. And Brandon in the newspaper said, you know, I'm tired of the Cardinals and all their whining. And that got into the papers and got a lot of ink, of course. Well, Brandon has a pregame at-bat ritual. He would walk up and he taps the knob of his bat against the opposing catcher's shin guards. Well, that opposing catcher was Yadier Molina. And when Phillips went to tap him on the shin guards, Molina kicked the bat away and said, hey, you've made no friends over here. Well, that led to Phillips and Molina having some words. That then led to the benches clearing. And then all of a sudden, there was a melee that took place. Dusty Baker was screaming at Tony La Russa, and La Russa was screaming back. And that melee spread from dugout to dugout up against the foul screen behind home plate. Jason LaRue, I think, got kicked in the face with some spikes, had to have some stitches. And the Cardinal fans certainly haven't forgotten that. As a check swing is called a ball, full count.
What an at bat here. He's still trying to go to right field and get Inciarte to third base.
Runner at second, nobody out. Braves have out hit the Cardinals 10-5 today. And a little bouncer back to the mound. Ender's going to head to third base on a slow developing play. All in all, a productive out for Brandon Phillips, who's 2 for 4 on the afternoon. Now Freddie Freeman a chance if the Cardinals pitch to him.
He played that beautifully. He didn't want to run into an out in case Tuivailala turned and threw the ball to third base, so he hesitated. And when the pitcher went to first, Ender went to third.
And St. Louis won't pitch to Freddie Freeman. Instead, they'll set up a double play chance and go after Nick Markakis. Little known fact about Tuivailala: it does not mean St. Matthew. It means waits for gravity well. See,
I see the ball's coming down.
Yeah, right. It's perfectly played.
He was real good at that when he played shortstop.
Right.
Add-on runs. Need all you can get against this club right now.
First and third. And a little nubber back to the mound. He's going to go to second for one, on to first, and Nick beat the wrap. That might have been some of the best base running by a Brave all year. The way Inciarte got from second to third and then third to home. And the Braves steal another run here.
And he stole second to set all that up. He broke for home but waited to see if Tuivailala was coming home, and when he didn't, then he went. And that chopper was just high enough. Again, gravity. And beat it out.
You could hear the collective groan from the crowd in St. Louis when Tuivailala turned to make that play at second base. They knew that Inciarte was going to score. The question is, could the Cardinals turn the double play? They couldn't. And the Braves manufacture a 7th inning run to add to the lead. It's now 5-0. That's smacked towards center, but Pham is there, and that retires Tyler Flowers. 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 man left. 7th inning stretch in St. Louis. Atlanta supported him with 5 runs, 10 hits, something he hasn't enjoyed much of this year.
And he's had good stuff in the get-go today. He's given up a few hits along the way. One walk that came in the first inning. Braves turned a double play for him in the 4th. And that run support you talked about has made a big difference for him. He's now got a 5-0 lead. And he's doing it very economically, too.
Last complete game for R.A. Dickey, we're told, is 2 years ago against the Angels. His last shutout was 2013. And the most innings that R.A. Dickey has thrown is 7. He's done that 8 separate times. A lot of things on the line for Dickey today as he tries to be the stopper, which you talked about before the game, and he tries to earn his 8th win. This is in keeping with what R.A. Dickey has done for the last 2.5 months. He's given up 1 earned run or less in 7 of his last 12 starts. He's given the Cardinals nothing so far today. Ground ball to third. Grichuk has that gobbled up by Brandon Phillips. It has been ground ball after ground ball today.
If there are some starting pitching star organizations here to watch him pitch today, they're seeing a good demonstration. I don't have any idea if R.A. cleared waivers already, if they placed him on waivers to see. But he's been outstanding today.
Strike after strike. I don't think Dickey's had but maybe a couple of 3-ball counts today. He did walk Tommy Pham in the first inning, then promptly picked him off. But he's had this Cardinal offense swinging and missing the butterflies all day. And what contact they're getting has been very soft. That ball popped up to the screen, but into the seats foul. We're a fan from St. Clair, Missouri. Makes a terrific catch.
Is that out west?
It's out west. Everything's out west. Unless you live in the river.
I guess that's a good point.
But
is that the arch?
I think so. No balls, 2 strikes for Colton Wong. You ever go up in the arch?
A couple of times.
When they built the arch, they weren't sure it was going to fit together. Of course, they had to build it from base to base and put the pieces together like Lego bricks until they got to the final missing piece up top. Arch is made out of stainless steel, so obviously it absorbs sunlight quite a bit, and they had fire hoses, and they were spraying water from the Mississippi River to cool the stainless steel and help it contract so that they could put that final piece in. A shot into the right field corner for Colton Wong. He's on his way to second. He's going to turn on the Jets and head to third. Markakis missed Albies, and that allows Wong to slide in with a 1-out triple. That gives him an 8-game hitting streak. That's his 6th hit against the Braves.
If Nick hits cutoff man, hits the relay man rather, they got a shot at him at third base. Big risk here for Wong, down by 5.
So Carson Kelly 0 for 2. He'll try to break the shutout bid here in the 7th. Dickey's gotten him to ground out to third and fly out to center. So how'd you like to be the architect of the arch? Well, I think it's going to fit together.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's just a real marvel. You look at stuff like that, you take it for granted as a real wonderful landmark, but then you start thinking about how'd they do that.
Yeah, 600-something feet high at its pinnacle, and beautiful views of Central Illinois and Missouri. Fly ball to right. Markakis won't get it. That's going to score the first run for the Cardinals as Kelly drives home Colton Wong. So there goes the shutout bid. And the Cardinals now down 5-1.
Get a ground ball here. Turn 2. Go to the dugout. Still in fine shape.
His bullpen's going to start to warm up. Cardinals will go to their bench after Garcia hits, assuming there's no double play. And it's Dexter Fowler who will come on and pinch hit.
Well, you know this team is not going to go quietly when they've been hitting the ball the way they have over the last 8 days.
Cardinals have 24 comeback wins this year. They have 8 outs left. The 2-0 pitch is a strike. Kelly is short lead. The pitch missed a corner. Dickey wanted that one. Now it's 3-1.
That looked like a fastball. He was just trying to throw a strike. Just missed.
So Cardinals have some trouble afoot. 1 in, 2 on, 1 out. And it will be Dexter Fowler. That's the first walk for R.A. Dickey since the first inning. Kelly will stop at second. And Dexter Fowler, who's 4 for 7 in a pinch this year with a couple of extra base hits, is announced. A couple of years ago, Dexter Fowler made a phone call that may have changed the trajectory of his major league career. He was in the final stages of his time with the Colorado Rockies, and he wanted to take his game to the next level. He called Barry Bonds and began working out with Barry Bonds in the offseason. And Barry Bonds, say what you will about what he did or was accused of doing in the game, was one of the game's great hitters. And very simply, he totally reworked Dexter Fowler, body and mind, and the way he approached at bat. He used the Ted Williams philosophy: get a good pitch to hit. But core work, video work, and gigantic exercise so that Dexter Fowler would be in hitting position for any pitch an opposing pitcher could throw him. And the results the last couple of years for Dexter Fowler show that hard work has paid off.
4 for 10 in his career against R.A.
And he just took a strike. Two on, 1 out. Top of the order lurking. The pitch to Fowler, low. Ball 1, strike 1. Had a good cut there. 1-2. How about that take?
He took a call, third strike. Was it last night with the bases loaded and 2 outs?
Ooh.
Oh man, that was a good pitch. Didn't get the call. That thing was really moving.
Got him that time on the outside corner, and Fowler has a look back at Ted Barrett. Dickey might have gotten strike 4 on Dexter Fowler. And there's that low pitch that R.A. wants Tyler Flowers to get, and that time he was rewarded.
Great example of it.
So a big third strikeout for Dickey. Now you've got to worry about Carpenter, who's 0 for 3. He's got a 7-game hitting streak on the line, perhaps in this at bat.
Be careful on the first pitch.
He was swinging for the fences, didn't get it. Strike 1. Sam Freeman and Jose Ramirez are warming in the Braves bullpen if needed.
Would be the 3rd day in a row for Sam.
Brett Cecil was warming for the Cardinals earlier. The pitch almost hit him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Didn't mean to. There's a break for Atlanta. 1-2 the count. R.A. ready with a 1-2 pitch. Driven down the left field line. That ball slicing and into the crowd.
Knuckleball's been really good all day with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. Stay with it.
Too close to take, so Carpenter fought it off and stays alive as R.A.'s about to make his 100th pitch. Don't really worry too much about pitch counts with Dickey. He hasn't had a whole lot of stress in the game. He's given up just 7 hits. And now he's ready again with Matt Carpenter standing in the box. Pitch is poked towards second. Ozzie on a 1-hopper makes the play, and Dickey gets out of the 7th inning. St. Louis settles for 1. We have a 5-1 Atlanta game as we get set for the 8th inning. But first, let's send it to Rebecca Capel back in our Atlanta studios. I echo what Nick said. I hope Arenado's injury isn't severe. But anytime guys get hit near the hand, as we well know with Freddie Freeman, that is cause for concern. And the video that we saw showed Arenado appeared to be in a great deal of pain down in Miami. So we'll wait and find out and report what we hear.
Yeah, let's hope not. This time of year, I hate it when the really good players go down. Harper last night, Arenado today. I hope neither one of them are out for very long. Brett Cecil had a horrible outing here 2 nights ago. He gave up 3 hits and a walk, and all 4 of them scored in 2/3 of an inning.
So Mike Matheny will try to get him back on the beam in a game the Cardinals trail by 4 runs. Santana's had a productive day. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI. That came in the 2-run Braves 4th. And that's high. 1-2. Milwaukee's winning at home over Cincinnati. Cubs are winning in Arizona. Pittsburgh lost in Toronto. And a swing and a miss takes care of Santana. That's how the Braves' 8th starts. Here's Ozzie Albies. He's 1 for 2 with an RBI. The RBI, a sacrifice fly.
Neil Walker is in the lineup for Milwaukee today, batting cleanup. And he's 2 for 3, and he's playing third base.
Really? Popped up right side. So B, Wong. He's got it. Albies retired. 2 outs. Well, we touched briefly on the American League wild card race. I mean, it is a 7-car pileup. You've got Minnesota, Kansas City, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Texas, and Toronto, all within 4 games of a wild card spot. It's not nearly so chaotic in the National League, where Arizona and Colorado are neck and neck. The Cubs and Cardinals 4.5 back. Milwaukee 6.5 back. That's the wild card race. But in the Central, 4 teams separated by 3 games. Milwaukee 2 back, Pittsburgh 3 back. And as I mentioned on the next St. Louis trip, the Cardinals play 4 games at PNC Park against the Pittsburgh Pirates in a very important mid-August matchup.
Cardinals have a rough stretch coming up. They got to go to Boston tonight. They got 2 at Boston, 4 at Pittsburgh.
One ball, 1 strike.
7 of their last 16 games of the year against the Cubs.
And the final series, final 4 head-to-head with Chicago here in St. Louis. They are trying to do something that's never been done here before. First, the 1-2 pitch. No Cardinal team has been under 500 as late as August 6 and made the playoffs. But the history of the game is replete with clubs that go on .667 win percentages and sneak into postseason play.
Well, and not just that, but in today's environment with the National League Central, nobody's really running away with it. You got a chance, no matter what your record is.
But as we said, that's the one area where the Cardinals have to do much better work within their division. They have a losing record against every team in the division except Pittsburgh. Dansby hanging tough. He's hit the ball hard 3 times today. Dickey and Flowers all smiles, enjoying a 5-1 game. And Swanson took that one low. Full count. If Dansby reaches, Lane Adams has grabbed a bat. He'll pinch hit for R.A. Dickey. Dansby didn't get it. A swing and a miss. And Cecil with a much improved performance in Game 3. He retires the Braves in order. Out of the 8th, 5-1 Braves in front.
Is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And by Delta Airlines.
One of the greatest of all time, Stan Musial, immortalized in bronze outside Busch Stadium in St. Louis. They have kind of a Monument Grove field outside with great artwork of the heroes of Cardinal teams past. And in the 8th, Jim Johnson will take over for R.A. Dickey, who went 7 innings of 1-run ball.
And he has been very good since he's been moved out of the closer spot. 5 outings. He's worked a total of 4 innings of 2-hit shutout ball, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And he has 4 days rest under his belt, so he should be fresh.
Well, R.A. Dickey with his 7 innings today means 4 Braves starting assignments out of the last 25 of 7 innings. And with what's ahead for Atlanta in Colorado, hugely important that R.A. Dickey pitched as deep into this game as he did.
Agreed.
It's been a quiet crowd of 44,534 today. Braves need 6 outs to snap the Cardinals' 8-game winning streak. Strike 3 called. A hook takes care of Pham. Jim Johnson gets the first man in the 8th inning, 1 down. Jim's another name that, quite frankly, I'm surprised we haven't heard discussed more, especially with, as you said, his good work in a setup spot. Most of the playoff teams have their closers already established, but veteran arm like that. Here's Paul DeYoung, 2 more hits for him. As you saw, 6 for 11 in the series.
Hasn't been tested a lot at shortstop, but he's made all the plays this weekend. Turned a couple of double plays without any trouble. Looks like a solid player.
High fly ball hammered toward left. That one's going to go into the Atlanta bullpen. A towering home run from DeYoung, who's got 3 hits. It's a 5-2 game. The trajectory of that home run mirrored the arch.
Yeah.
Straight up and straight out.
Solo shot, though. That's a good thing. 7 for 12, 2 homers, double. Not a bad series.
Ground ball, that's going to sneak through for a hit. Martinez with a one-out single. So homer and a base hit brings up Randal Grichuk. And this thing all of a sudden getting a little too close for comfort. Grichuk is 11 for 28 against the Braves in the season series. He's 5 for 11 in the 3 games in St. Louis. Ball 1. Tied him right up, even count. Ramirez and Freeman, it appears, are again in the pen. Line drive into left. That's going to get down for a hit. So after the called third strike, the Cardinals have 3 hard hit balls, and they've got 2 on, 1 in, and 1 out.
And good hitters counts.
And Brian Snitker is making his way to the mound. Jim Johnson can't complete the 8th. So Colton Wong is going to be the hitter. Sam Freeman is going to come on and pitch. St. Louis brings the tying run to the plate in a 5-2 game, 8th inning in St. Louis.
Hyundai Sunday on Fox Sports South is presented by your local Hyundai dealers.
Well, the Cardinals trying to fire up their fans. They played the Rally Cat montage. They've got the Rally Caps on, too. So whatever the consonant, the Cardinals are pulling out all the stops. As Colton Wong is coming up against Sam Freeman, representing the tying run in the Cardinals' 8th inning.
Third straight day for Sam, and he's faced 5 batters over the 2 games that he's been in already, and he has set down all 5, including 1 strikeout. He has not faced Colton Wong.
First batter faced, a critically important stat right now. And Freeman get Wong with Kelly waiting on deck. Sam's retired 30 of 38 first batters. 5 of his 11 inherited runners have scored. And that missed outside. Ball 1. Two balls, no strikes. Hot shot. Ozzie can't handle it. The ball's into shallow right. Martinez, slow break around third, is going to score. On to third is Gritchett. That one snuck under the glove of Ozzie Albies and trickled into shallow right. Martinez, with a little hesitation, scores the 3rd Cardinal run.
When it was first hit, I thought they might even have a chance at a double play because it was hit so sharply. But then I realized it was going to be a terrific play if Ozzie just dove and knocked it down. And just under his glove.
So Sam Freeman, with some bad luck, got the ground ball, but Ozzie couldn't hang on. And the Cardinals have runners at the corners in what's now a 5-3 game. Is your score. The Cardinals have runners 1st and 3rd. Jose Ramirez has been brilliant despite giving up a home run last night. He's part of a Braves bullpen that until today has been almost locked down, lights out for Brian Snitker this month.
Well, you mentioned that first batter phase. That is vitally important, especially now with runners out there and the lead in jeopardy. He has retired only 35 of 51 first batters. However, only 3 of 12 inherited runners have scored. He's generally a guy who comes in to start an inning.
Jim Johnson got the first out. The Cardinals have 4 straight hits and 2 runs. And a wicked cut by Kelly, who fouled it straight back. He was ready and fouled that 98-mile-an-hour heater straight back.
And if you just joined us, we mentioned that this guy got called up July 21st. And he now has 20 at-bats, no strikeouts.
A double play ball would be nice. No balls and a strike. Did that hit him? Yes, it did. A hit batsman. Unbelievable. Now this game is reminding me of a game that took place at the old ballpark when Chris Reitsma was the Braves closer. The Braves had a dominant game working, and David Eckstein came up and hit a grand slam to win the game for the Cardinals in heartbreaking fashion. This one was dominated by R.A. Dickey, but now Johnson, Freeman, and Ramirez have all allowed base runners in the 8th inning, and the Cardinals have them loaded.
This guy will hit the ball on the ground for you. Just a matter of whether or not he hits it at somebody.
He wanted that pitch back. Garcia was ready for the heat, and he fouled it back.
Well, they know what the scouting report is, and they know how hard he throws. That's why Kelly had such a big cut on his first one.
All of a sudden, Cardinal fans are chirping. Yadier Molina's on deck. Pitch. And he swung late.
They're going to pitch him hard away. There's Molina. There's a big hole on the left side between Phillips and Swanson.
Ramirez ready. He's way ahead. 0-2 for Garcia. And out of play. The other part of this big inning for the Cardinals, no matter if they score again or not, there's a chance you're going to have to go through 1, 2, and 3 again.
Yeah.
In the St. Louis ninth. Oh-2. Struck him out looking. 98 miles an hour at the knees. There's the second out. And here comes Molina.
This crowd will go crazy.
You might recall Molina was the man that hit the grand slam after the kitty cat roamed the field. That's where the rally cat began against Kansas City. The Cardinals want lightning to strike twice. Listen to this place. And he can hit anybody's fastball.
Absolutely.
Left-hand hitting Matt Carpenter on deck, and now Molina's ahead in the count.
I loved how they stayed with the fastball on Garcia. Did not back off, did not throw the changeup.
Good work. There's a strike. Grichuk is at third. Wong can fly. He's at second base. Kelly, the catcher, is the man at first. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Needless to say, when you've got to throw a strike, advantage switches to Molina, the good fastball hitter, ready to tee off if he gets a good one.
So Ramirez battles back to get the count full.
Backswing got a piece of Tyler Flowers too, and Molina immediately apologized for it. Off on that one. But he also, as a veteran, knows that he doesn't need a home run.
Now the advantage for the Cardinals is with a full count, all of their runners can take off. 3 balls, 2 strikes for Molina. Ground ball hit toward third. In between Hop, Phillips makes the play, throws to first, and Ramirez gets the Braves out of the mess. St. Louis scores twice. They load the bases, but a strikeout and a ground out sends us to the 9th with the Braves up 2. To inning number 9.
Sometimes when your catcher's on base and the inning ends and your backup catcher makes the last out, there's nobody to warm up the pitcher. So what do? You send out a 3 or 4 time Gold Glove winning manager to warm up the pitcher.
Better not throw one in the dirt.
That's why he's sitting side saddle, buddy.
So we get another look at this talented youngster out of the Cardinals bullpen, John Barabia, who's on for his 28th game. We saw him here 2 nights ago.
And he pitched really well. Gave up a walk, but no damage in 1 total inning.
So Jace Peterson grabs a bat. He'll pinch hit. Braves could use some insurance. The Cardinals have scored a single run in the 7th, 2 in the 8th. It's now a 5-3 game. Peterson, Enciarte, and Brandon Phillips will go to work. And downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. This place got loud in a hurry, didn't it?
My goodness.
Fouled away, 2-1. That's rocketed toward the gap in left center field. That's going to get down and roll to the warning track. Jace on his way to second. He's going to make the big turn. He's going to go to third. The throw gets away, and he'll belly flop in with a leadoff triple. And look at the Braves dugout bench. They're going crazy. Jace Peterson does it again off the bench, this time with a 9th inning 3-base hit.
He has come back with a vengeance. Fastball down and out over the plate, split the gap, and with his speed, it was off to the races. And Martinez with a throw that was off the mark on his relay.
So Jace now 6 out of 14 as a pinch hitter. That forces the Cardinals infield to come in, and they're looking for a 4-hit day or a deep fly ball to play the 6th run.
Yeah, however he can get it in.
Ender has 2 5-hit games this year. Doesn't have a 4-hitter. And nearly held his swing there. Couldn't. 0-2 the count. Bouncing ball, just foul. That one got away, and Jace Peterson's going to score on a ball in the dirt. A wild pitch.
Big run. Oh, Kelly came up on it. He was trying to catch it instead of blocking it, and went right through him.
So a roller hit towards second. He pegged first in time. There's the first out at the top of the 9th. Arodys Vizcaino is getting ready in the Braves bullpen. He's going to face the 1, 2, and 3 hitters for St. Louis. But now Joey's got a 3-run lead, not a 2-run lead.
Isn't it reverse of what we normally are talking about with the Braves and giving up add-on runs that make it so hard to come back in the 8th and 9th? Today, at least, those roles have been switched.
Big day for Brandon Phillips. 2 hits and 4 tries. A towering 2-run homer in the 5th. Put Atlanta up 4-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Fought that off. 0-2.
Brandon hit his 10th home run back in the 5th inning. 407 feet into the Braves bullpen.
Tell you what, the Braves are trying to do something that's been awfully tough to do. That's hang a loss on Michael Wacha in his home park. He started the game 7-1 here at Busch. But Atlanta jumped on him for 4 runs in 5 innings. And R.A. Dickey was terrific.
Never lost in August. Got that hanging in the balance, too.
As well as St. Louis's 8-game win streak. A lot on the line in this 9th inning for the Bravos as Freddie Freeman bats. He's 1 for 3. Missed a corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Ready down to his last strike in the 9th inning. And he'll see another pitch. One ball, 2 strikes. And right off the knuckles. Nobody covered the first base bag. That ball's up for grabs, and Freeman safe. That was like a 5-year-old kid's soccer game where everybody on the team chased the ball.
Spider ball. Had all kinds of guys over there to field it. Nobody to throw it to. Arabia, even though he recognized that it was going to get by him, didn't go to the bag.
So give Freeman another hit and give Nick Markakis another chance to hit in St. Louis. A single, a run, and an RBI for the Braves right fielder today. And in there for a called strike. Giants won the first game of the doubleheader in Washington 4-2 today. Mets are beating the Phillies 6-2 in the 9th. Miami won. Marlins are playing very well. They beat Colorado 5-3. All of a sudden, Joe, the Marlins behind Giancarlo Stanton are only 4 games under 500.
Yeah, they're playing excellent ball, and in keeping with what we have said and a ton of other people have said, if they get a couple more starters for next season, they're going to be very challenging.
The 1-2 pitch for Markakis. Didn't get it. 2-2. All the paperwork for the ownership transition is now in the hands of Major League Baseball. The Derek Jeter Group has apparently won the bidding. So the Marlins on the path to new ownership pending approval. As Markakis swings and misses, and that retires the side. Atlanta gets an add-on insurance run in the 9th inning. A leadoff triple by Jace Peterson. He scored on a wild pitch, and we go to the bottom of the 9th. victory here in St. Louis, bottom of the 9th inning. Arodys Vizcaíno's the man that will come on and try to save the day for R.A. Dickey.
Looking for his 6th save. He's had a terrific year, and he stepped into this role as the closer, and he's done a fine job. But he's been here before and did well in the role before. He's had some rest. He has not pitched since the 9th. 31 of 45 first batters retired for him.
So, as you said at the start of our broadcast, it's only appropriate we talk about him again in the 9th inning with a 3-run game.
They've been on base for 3 days, all of them. It's just been a merry-go-round with these guys. Pham also with 4 walks and a hit batsman.
Get the first guy, Matt Carpenter. Checked his swing and fouled it away. Carpenter will indeed have another chance in the 9th inning to extend his hitting streak to 8 games. He's 0 for 4. He's popped out to left, and he's hit the ball to the right side 3 times. All 3 of those at-bats were against R.A. Dickey, who absolutely had Matt Carpenter befuddled at the plate today. He pulls another one. This one sharply hit, but Ozzy's got it, 1 out.
You look at this infield right now, Chip, for the Braves. It is really solid defensively all the way around.
Tommy Pham, the batter. He's 1 for 3.
Arodys has good numbers against the St. Louis Cardinals. His career, 8 games, 7 innings. Zip. That triple by Jace and the run scoring took a little starch out of these fans too.
You've said it so many times, they just suck the life out of you when you're trying to somehow find a way to get back into the game. They had him loaded. They had Molina up, but he grounded out to end the St. Louis 8th. And now this one's popped up right side. Albies drifts out. Markakis comes in. It's going to be Nick. He's got it. The Braves run out away. And wouldn't you know, we got to face DeYoung one more time. What an impressive series for this young shortstop. 7 hits, 12 at bats, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Against Atlanta here in St. Louis.
I have a feeling he's going to be here a long time.
No balls and a strike. Now the Braves are a strike away. I'm told if you factor in DeYoung's 18 home runs in the big leagues, he also had 13 at AAA. So a 31 homer man at shortstop, that'll work.
Mm-hmm.
But he's down to his last strike. And way upstairs for ball 1. Swing and a miss, and that's your ball game. The Braves take game 3 in St. Louis. R.A. Dickey with 7 innings of 7-hit, 1-run ball wins it. Vizcaino picks up the save, and Atlanta hands Michael Wacha his first ever loss in the month of August as a big leaguer. And Joe, we head to Denver with a win on the road and start a 4-game series tomorrow night.
What a load off their back, too, to come in here and win a game before leaving town. Need a little momentum heading to Coors Field, and they get it today behind a strong effort by R.A. Dickey.
And the top of the Atlanta order, Inciarte, Phillips, and Freeman were terrific. Those 3 men accounted for 7 hits and scored 5 of Atlanta's 6 runs. They were terrific. 6-3, Atlanta wins game 3 of the series. We'll wish the Cardinals well the rest of the way.